and then he'll introduce the parties, and then we can go from there. Finance EP, thanks for joining us. Hopefully, you'll find this an interesting space and valuable. So, yeah, my name is JC Keen. I'll be the host today, and we'll talk about real estate and crypto and how to use blockchain technology to fundraise and how to use it to buy fractionalized real estate. Like many of you, I'm an entrepreneur. I am into real estate, including residential and commercial. As well as we all know, real estate is an excellent way to grow an investor's net worth for multiple reasons. But in most cases, the problem is it's a pretty high barrier of entry for most people. In other words, we all need to come up with a big down payment to be able to buy even just a home. And if you want to get into commercial, which is really where you can make a big impact to your net worth, that's where that's going to take a lot more money, right? And crypto makes it possible to lower that barrier of entry, and we'll talk about that. Well, crypto is really what's making it possible, right? And maybe I'll tell you a little bit about my just a short blurb here on my crypto journey. I got into Ethereum about 3 years ago, maybe. It was trading at $300 a share, and I bought very little. And then I watched it go down to $80 a share, and then I got disillusioned and stopped paying attention to it. But then, several months later, a year later, it was trading at 1,000, and then it just kept going up. I eventually sold at around 1,800, and by that time I had purchased more. But then as I started paying more attention to Ethereum and understanding the gas fees, I decided that I didn't like what was happening, and I started researching, and I came across Ravencoin. So that's really kind of why I ended up with where I'm at right now as an entrepreneur, looking at Ravencoin, a coin that can be used to tokenize multiple assets. So with that out of the way, I'll introduce first Dan and Sarah Jenkins. They have been involved in real estate, property management, and construction for 20 plus years. Dan is a general contractor building new construction in Wisconsin. Sarah is a realtor licensed in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Together, they own a property management company, and they also started Hydra Chain, or is it Hydra Chain Technologies, earlier this year to explore tokenization of real estate on the Ravencoin blockchain. And with us, we also have Jim and Jake Menard from Dwell Homes, Inc. They have 30 years of experience in the custom home, production home, and general contracting industries. They've recently been exploring the possibility of tokenizing land and rental properties on Ravencoin. More specifically, they're looking to tokenize and offer fractional ownership of land and rental properties while using their expertise to maximize investors' return through the ownership of a digital asset using Ravencoin. So thank you very much for joining us. So I'll let you, Sarah and Dan, expand on what your vision is and how things are going. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hey, so Sarah's going to start speaking, but I think we're going to both just be talking off of our phone or my phone since we don't get any feedback on it. So go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, so we have been involved with Ravencoin since 2018, and we immediately, knew that we wanted to tokenize real estate, and it has taken until, I think it was last spring, probably March, we came across Ddg Shares, and kind of the rest is history. We connected with Klaus, got connected with Andrew Bull with Bull Blockchain Law, and have kind of been piecing together our marketplace since. And it's been okay with us. We initially thought that we would be ready to have that website go live back in August, but with the labor shortages and supply chain issues, it's taken us longer to get the house built than we had initially, anticipated. So it's kind of a little bit about what we're doing. And the house will be a single family home in Wisconsin. And it will be a rental property.
Okay, so a few of us know a little bit of this story here, but for people that are just joining us and they really don't know about the house, so let's just start with Dan is essentially a contractor, a builder, and you're a realtor, and you came across Ravencoin, and you have made the choice to build a home, and you want to sell it in fractional. In a fractional manner, and provide essentially income to those shareholders. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yep. So a little more on that is it is a rental property. This first one is more of a proof of concept for Ravencoin for tokenization of real estate on the Ravencoin blockchain, and I guess to get more into what tokenization of real estate looks like, at least for us, the way that we're doing it is we, first and foremost, you have to find a good lawyer, a really good lawyer. And we contacted Tron Black early in our process about some referrals that he had, and he gave us a few of them. We ended up going with, like Sarah said, Andrew Bull, blockchain law, Bull blockchain law, and he really had a template ready for us to just kind of hit the ground running with all the different forms and all the different needs we had for tokenization. He set up the LLC for Hydra Chain Technologies for us. Hydra Chain is a Wyoming corporation. And then he also set up the corporation that actually owns the tokenized house, and that's a Delaware corporation. Now, when you're tokenizing a home, you're not really tokenizing the actual ownership of the home. You're tokenizing the ownership of the LLC that owns the home. The reason you have to do that is because anytime that there's a transfer of property in the United States, there has to be the title work needs to be done, and title needs to be registered with the county and all that, and I'm sure most people know how that works. But when the LLC is actually tokenized, then the property title always stays with that LLC and it never changes. So what we did is then we have the Delaware corporation that owns the property, and we've created 1 million tokens that represent 1 millionth of a share of or percentage of the of that home, and then using Ddg Shares white label platform, we're able to pay out dividends. So all the rent will be paid out quarterly with dividends right through the blockchain, right through the wallet, and that's about it. So it's going to work really well.
Okay. Yes, I should introduce Quoting and Super Coded fan here. So Quoting is co-host. Dan, we can hear the echo. There we go. Thank you. So Quoting is our co-host today. He's been leading a lot of our space meetings. Thank you, Quoting, for doing this. And he's going to be putting some content up on top there. And Super Coded fan, he's our co-host too. Super Code fan. And yes, they'll be, as we get going with the discussion, they'll be able to help us manage people who want to come up and ask questions. and of course they can always contribute to the discussion. So Dan and Sarah, are there any broad numbers? Yeah, I realize you may not want to get too specific, but is it, I think I guess ranges, the value of the home and the income, and you said 1 millionth share. So does that mean a person can buy with as little as what, $1,000 or $100? Can you share more of that?
Yeah, we made it a requirement to buy one millionth is the lowest you can buy. That would be one token. The initial offering on the token is 62.5 cents per token. So I guess it's going to cost you 63 cents. And yeah, that's the minimum. The first project we're doing is the only barrier we are having on this first proof of concept project is it's going to be limited to accredited investors in the U.S. because right now we're just filed with the SEC for Reg D, which is U.S. accredited investors. We're working on Reg S, and then for future projects we're looking at Reg CF for crowdfunding. There's that can be a little tough because there are a lot more requirements we have to do, and it's really expensive to get that going because you have to essentially hire a third party Reg CF portal, and they take a pretty hefty percentage of the raised funds.
Okay, that's pretty exciting. 63 cents. A person needs to be an accredited investor, but let's just say that a person is and sends $100. We'll call it $1,000, just to play with some nicer numbers. Are you expecting to be profitable right from the beginning, cash flowing, or is there an expectation that there needs to be a couple of years of catching up on to actually become cash flow positive?
So that's the beauty of tokenization, right? We're cutting out the bank, so we're not paying any loan. We're not paying any principal or interest on any loans. So right out of the gate, as soon as that house is rented, that rent starts distributing that first quarter to the investors.
Wow. Like I knew that, but it didn't register in my head until now. Wow, that is so cool. All right. Well, everybody else, come on, give me 100% of a fist bump up, because I wanna know that you guys are liking this. That sounds pretty exciting. So can you expand a little bit more on the accredited investor part? And I guess it has to do with what type of reg you're pursuing. If you were raising money from friends and family, then you could have an easier, I guess, is a lower bar, and you could raise up to a certain amount of money. But if you want to go wider, then you really need to be more vigilant to those certain situations pertaining accredited investors and such. Could you expand on that some more?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not the best person to ask about different regulations by the SEC, but Reg CF would be non-accredited investors, and so essentially, pretty much anybody with a bank account can invest. There's no like, you don't have any kind of salary requirements or anything like that. Accredited investor in the U.S., I believe you have to make, if you're a single person, $200,000 a year, or if you're a couple, $300,000 a year, or I believe it's $1 million in assets, or you can go take a test to prove your financial knowledge, I guess. But that's just, those are just reg CF, reg D, and then reg S. Now there are other regulations, and I think Jake knows a little bit about this too, where and I forget, we're not dealing with it, so I forget the name of the regulation, but there's one without that doesn't require accredited investors, but then it limits you to only like 10 different investors or 15 or something like that. So there are other options out there if you wanted to get, like you said, friends and family or a group of investors together and still tokenize. You can still do that. And if you are just, if it is just you and your buddies, I don't, that's just like starting a company with somebody, and you don't, that doesn't even really need SEC regulation to begin with until you start actually selling your shares to the public.
That's great. Okay, so tell us about the tracking of the important things like legal requirements, like know your customer and all that kind of stuff that can get complicated, and how does blockchain handle that?
Right. So now we can kind of talk about why are we tokenizing real estate on Ravencoin? Because Ravencoin has got a system within the first layer of the system. We've got this great asset layer, right? And one of the things that Tron and Bruce put in there, and Tron says it was mainly Bruce's idea, is this idea of restricted assets, right? So restricted assets are just like regular assets, except for the administrative asset has a whitelist. And on that whitelist of wallets are the wallets that are allowed to actually hold those tokens. So this works really well because this is what the SEC requires for tokenizing any kind of assets and doing any kind of fundraising in the United States to follow SEC guidelines. Is you have to know who owns those tokens at any given time. So by allowing a wallet to be whitelisted, for that to happen, we have to have the person go through KYC. We have to have them go through the AML, the anti-money laundering, and then we have to have them go through accreditation. And once those three things are taken care of, then they get whitelisted in the system, and then they can transfer those tokens right to their wallet. Now, after that, they can trade their tokens back into our system and sell them to someone else, or they can, if they're able to see the other wallet or no person with another whitelisted wallet, they can trade those tokens peer to peer as well. Now, the other thing about Ravencoin and this the restricted assets is another requirement by the SEC is you have to be able to essentially take back or seize those tokens if needed. And so if tokens go to a whitelisted wallet, they're out there, and then that person loses their wallet, well, we can unwhitelist or take that wallet off the whitelist, and now those tokens are frozen on that wallet forever, and they won't go anywhere. And then being that the administrator of asset is reissuable, you can reissue those tokens to another wallet for that same person.
So that brings us to this liquidity thing that we keep talking about. So in other words, we keep saying that one of the benefits of tokenizing anything is that there's increased liquidity. And what I think that means is that if I own, call it 1,000 shares of your project, that I can go and sell them to Quoting as long as he meets those requirements that you just talked about. He's whitelisted, right? But this can also be traded in a market like T0 or some other place like that, or at least maybe that's the vision. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, that is correct. And I'm not exactly sure how all that works, but I know that Ddg Shares is set up to make that work. It just the ability to. I'm not sure if we would have to like. I'm not really sure if we would have to whitelist all of T0 customers that would want to buy the token on their platform, or if we would just whitelist the T0 wallet and then they would have their own you know, Excel spreadsheet, I guess, of who owns what token. But yeah, that it's totally possible. Yep.
Okay, and then DG Shares. Can you tell us what they do? And I think there are other companies that do this as well.
Sure. So Ddg Shares is was founded by Klaus Scanning. It's a company that's based out of the Netherlands, and what they do is they have a tokenization platform that's essentially the most of what they do is just primarily tokenizing real estate, and they were originally set up with Ethereum and Polymath, and I think something else. I'm not sure. But when we approached Klaus, we said we're gonna, and it's a white label platform. So essentially, you're buying access to it, and then we slap our logo on it, and then run our own projects off of our site. But when we talked to him, we were like, this looks great. This is exactly what we want to do. But I'm like, but you have to do it for Ravencoin. And he had heard of Ravencoin, and he was like, I think that's a great idea. And he was really pumped to have a Ravencoin project.
Okay, that's great to know. I think we have a lot of questions, or at least I do, that I could keep asking. But I think we maybe let Jim and Jake share a little bit, and then we'll open the floor for questions. Does that sound good with everybody? Okay.
Sounds great.
Sounds good.
All right. Jim and Jake, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us about your project and maybe some of the common things between what you have going and what Dan and Sarah just shared, and maybe any big differences? That'd be great to know.
Hi, so we're going to be using the same phone as well, just to avoid feedback issues. Jim is going to go first and talk about the company and the project.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for allowing me to speak today, and I want to say thank you to the Hydra Chain Technology guys. I've been following you guys. I'm fairly new to crypto. I'm about a year into it. Jake's my expert here to help me on that side of it. But first of all, my background, I wanted to give you a little bit of where I came from. I do have about 30 years experience out of college with a construction management degree from Illinois State University. And I've been working on basically everything residential from a scalable level, whether it be production housing with some of the largest national builders, mostly in the construction field side of things, to land development where we were actually developing very large communities for large national builders, large local builders. From there, I went on my own and started doing large custom projects, custom home building. That was very eye-opening, especially around late 2000s when the market completely was decimated. They talk about the Great Recession. In housing and real estate, it was absolutely a major depression. Things completely blew to pieces. We eventually, from there were really no homes to be built anywhere. People just were not buying homes. We turned to the renovation for rental market out of the foreclosure market with the amount of inventory that was there. We had rehabbed somewhere in the tunes of 1,000 homes that turned from REO properties to rental properties, again, for national rental investment firms, institutional investment firms. And recently, we've went heavily into the fire flood restoration work and have re-entered the market into building custom homes. So we've got 30 years of strong construction knowledge. We have strong rental community connections, and our hope, what our plan is to basically acquire land, acquire properties, pretty much every way that we can get our hands on either property or existing or to be built for the rental community. Doing fire and flood restoration over the past few years, we have saw a need to help people, especially in the time of need when they have a fire, when they have a flood. We're seeing that it has to happen like right now because they really have nowhere to go, and people are being placed in hotels, conditions that are tough for their family, tough for their pets, tough for everybody involved. And we see a need to provide the right housing for those people that are in that such a dire situation. So we have the connections to do it. We're looking for the proper funding. We like the tokenization. As an entrepreneur, I understand it enough that where I really feel it makes sense. We feel we can reach a broader audience and make the impact that we feel, that we know is there for the people to be had, because they're sitting there really struggling with these immediate needs, and there is really no solution, at least in our area. So building new, we plan on tokenizing, buying existing, and rehabbing to a level that meets the criteria for the people that we're targeting. And hopefully, the maybe second or third phase would be purchasing raw ground and developing communities that are 100% for rent, ideally need-based people. So that's kind of where we're going with the project, and Jay can tell you a little more about why Ravencoin is the right place for us.
All right, so as most of us in here, we probably found Ravencoin just out of nowhere, and I kind of dove into the community head first, and didn't really know about the tokenization process of everything. I thought it was just something that you can mine. So once I realized that you could tokenize stuff, and a lot of the stuff helps with things that the SEC requires, such as restricted assets and tagging addresses and so on and so forth, it really felt like the right choice, because I felt like that we could reach out to people whenever we needed to, and I have been, and we both have been talking to people about things whenever we have to ask questions about the tech or about the process that we need to go through, like with finding Ddg Shares, because we've met with Ddg Shares once already. I would not have known who to go to if it weren't for Hydra Chain leading us in that path. So they're a big part of us diving into tokenizing our real estate through Ravencoin. We would not have known where to go. We also really like the price, or the transaction fees, and versus Ethereum, I should say. Like, we all know that gas is super high on Ethereum, and on Ravencoin it's really low. So we know that distributing our assets is going to save a lot of overhead and other costs when transferring these basically digital shares to prospective investors who are just trying to, maybe put a few bucks into a project, and they don't want to have to worry about paying $1,000 in fees, or that's an exaggeration. But yeah, we felt Ravencoin was the right choice because of the community and the really low barriers of entry that are available to us.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for sharing. So maybe I'll just throw out a few things out there for discussion. Something that Dan mentioned is that he's tokenizing the actual LLC, and I thought it was fascinating because I never really thought about how that would be done. But if you think about that, if you're tokenizing an LLC, well, you could really tokenize an LLC for anything, right? It could be a hotel. It could be almost anything that has an LLC. You could tokenize. So the opportunities at the space is just there's immense opportunities when we're just at the beginning stages of it. And then it eliminates the bank, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Jim. And actually, I just want to say one more thing that I think is very important. That for those of you that did not live through the let's say that depression I spoke about in the housing, I used that term very lightly actually. One of the things that was such a big deal was the lack of liquidity. And one of the things that I really, really like about this model is the additional liquidity that it does offer. And for someone that has done a lot of different real estate, a lot of different things, it helps, I believe, and I feel that it helps steady the waters, in such typical rough waters, even in times of today where there is a massive supply shortage. It's still extremely, extremely hard. Supply chain issues, manpower issues, threats of interest rate hikes. I mean, there's just all this headwind that comes our way. And we feel that by having that additional liquidity, it just helps calm the markets down a little bit and allows people to go to work and really make sure that things are done per plan and we don't get our legs taken out of us by banks changing their mind or, too much oversight stepping in and really changing the playing field midstream.
They always say if you're going to buy property or buy land, you better be ready to hold on to it for about 15 years. Now, it's a hyperbole, but sometimes it's true. And it was true in the Great Recession that happened a little over a decade ago. We're almost at that 15-year mark.
Yeah, I think I get a bit of an understanding of real estate, but at the same time, I'm blown away by all of this. It's so cool. Supercode, you have a coder fan. Supercode, you have a comment, I think. Go ahead, please.
Well, yes, the comment or question I had was, do you perceive this, because I also know that there's a lot of cost in transferring properties if they were to transfer the whole properties, in other words, sell it. Will this tokenization help to decrease the cost of transferring a property from one party to another?
Yes. It would essentially eliminate a listing fee, but there still are technology fees involved. But yes, it would eliminate it. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
Yep.
So,
but beyond that, it also eliminates time on market, closing costs beside just realtor fees and stuff like that.
Yeah, your traditional going through the traditional real estate process to buy and sell. Yep.
Yeah, you're taking months and months, possibly months and months of time and shortening it to about a second to trade.
Yeah, it seems like you could just get much quicker price discovery too. There's the real estate market is so murky and lack of transparency that I think it just makes the price discovery process, not to mention the friction, but just you can just see that it just has so much potential. So congratulations on your success so far. We'll be all rooting for you.
Thank you so much.
So Sarah, you're a realtor. So are you kind of working to get yourself out of a job there by eliminating the listing fees?
I am definitely not. No, the way I look at this is, once we've gotten to the project's been funded, for me, it's kind of like a built-in cash buyer as a real estate agent. I don't think tokenization is going to work for every single project. So I still think you're going to go through the traditional buying and selling still. But it's just
yeah. Well, and the first project is new construction, but the projects after this, some will be new construction, but we will also be buying
previously owned homes
and fixing them up. And
our hope is to.
So we still need a realtor for that.
Yeah.
To buy those homes.
Got it. Got it. I mean, it's going to take a while for things to change. Um, let's see. So I did have another question, but it's escaping me right now. So I'll let
We
somebody else
also
ask a
had
question.
we also had Tabs that wanted to share. Tabs, are you available?
Yo, I'm here. No, I'm just listening. Yeah, nothing at the moment. Now that you ask.
Okay, I do have
Okay,
a
wait. I
question.
do have a question. I do have a question.
Oh yeah,
So,
go ahead.
so just after listening to all this, say I knew someone that wanted to sell a house. Should I refer them to you at this moment?
I think it depends what their goals are. Um,
I mean, because you're saying like it removes all these, the middleman. It removes the real estate agent. Blah blah blah. But it really comes down to like, I know someone who wants to sell a house. Can I refer them to you for a better deal?
I think as a seller, you're not going to get a better deal. It removes encumbrances and barrier of entry for investors. So people that want to buy and invest in the real estate, it's a tokenization is a real
I see,
benefit to
like
them.
projects that haven't really.
oh,
Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm just asking
Oh,
because
okay.
I don't know
Yeah.
much about it. I'm just trying to learn. I don't.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the average homeowner when they want to sell and move up and upsize their house or downsize or whatever, tokenization as the way it is right now, especially with our system, isn't really a good option for them. The tokenization is really going to be for the investors.
So
Now,
like projects that are under development, etc., that people
no,
can get into early.
well, not
Sure.
necessarily. So I maybe Tabs. I think I understand a bit of where you're coming from. So neither one of the speakers right now are seeking to buy a home and tokenize it, right? They're entrepreneurs, they're already investing in real estate, and it just so happens that they believe the tokenization is worth exploring. So they're taking one or some of their homes and they're going to go tokenize them. What you can do is buy shares on their projects, or at least you will be able to. um, somebody else here down in the bottom, there's some people there with some names that look like maybe they're realtors or in the space. They may be looking to acquire and tokenize, but none of us that I know of in this space are at that level yet.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, no, I'm just yeah. I have no real estate background, so I'm just trying to
I appreciate that.
understand. Sorry if my questions
No, no
are
worries.
No,
novice.
thanks
great
for the
question.
if you've got those questions, other people do too.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
No worries. Jake, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, so I would just like to give a pretty easy example to understand. Like this is I haven't heard this type of project yet, and if it exists, I would love to hear about it. But this would be an easier way to understand kind of what tokenizing real estate could do for you as a single person. So instead of you having to go and purchase a lot somewhere for $40,000, which a lot of people don't have that kind of money laying around, and then you got to do it through a bank as well, or not through a bank, but you have to go do all that stuff through a bank. Anyways, so if us as Dwell Homes were to go and purchase 50 lots, and let's say it cost us, I don't know, is that $2 million? Yes, let's say $2 million at 40,000 a lot. We don't have $2 million sitting around, so we want to offer fractional ownership of these lots to a greater amount of people. So instead of you having to go fork up $40,000, you can invest $100 and now you own one blank of that, all that land in total. So that's kind of what this would be doing for you in general.
I love that. That's cool. I mean, it's bringing access to a lot of people that wasn't there last year.
Yeah, it really does lower the barriers of entry for an investor, right? It lowers your entry fee, and it also lowers transaction costs because there are still costs to purchase shares, but they are so many times lower than going through the legacy financial system that it is worth it to go that way. And also, it lowers the barriers of entries for companies like Dwell Homes and Hydra Chain to basically have their own, your crypto version of an IPO. If we were going to go try to do this through a stock exchange, we have to have a value of our company of millions and millions of dollars, I think, as well as a certain market cap to meet. I think the market cap minimum is 5 or 20 million. It's something huge. So it lowers the barriers of entry for everyone as long as we go through the certain regulations for the SEC, which the Ravencoin restricted assets with tagged addresses and whatnot, that allows us to get to that point safely and soundly, where the investors are never questioning what they're buying into.
Yeah, if you think about real estate, I think most of us recognize that people can build tremendous wealth with real estate for many reasons. One of them is tax advantages. The laws in the United States are very favorable towards owning real estate. And then, of course, there's a limited supply, right? There's no more land. What we have is all there is. And as you think about that, too, recognize that the more money you have, the easier it is to make a bigger, like I would say, market cap, or have a bigger return. If you wanted to buy, one lot, like Jake was saying, maybe in that specific area, maybe you buy one lot for $60,000. If you want to buy 10, maybe you can buy them for 50, and if you want to buy 100, maybe you can buy them for 40, right? So the more you have upfront, the more you can get, the lower prices you can get, and then of course there's economy of scale. So, and Jim can probably speak of all of this, but if you're building one home versus 100 homes, there's a huge incentive there, and huge savings. So then all of that translates to saving money, building more efficiently, lower costs of acquisition overall, and then the same thing can apply to finding tenants or buyers if the intent is to flip, I think. So maybe Jim, you could speak to that.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think you hit it right on the head when you talked about the scarcity of lots. I mean, one of the things that everybody in this, I guess, this whole crypto world talks about, at least why I like Ravencoin, is because it is a limited supply. I mean, that's something I've been told for 30 years is things like land position. Get your land position. Otherwise, you have to be there to be there. And if you're not there, you're not there. That's some of the things that have been told to me that have stuck. So that scarcity model is there. And right now, comparatively to what it has been since probably it's been going basically up since mid-90s, or there was just no market because of the crash. Right now, we're in unprecedented supply shortage. So not only in housing, but because there's no land. There's not that there's just no land. There's no land developed. For a quick example, here in the Chicago market, when the market crashed, there was somewhere in the tunes of 40 or 50,000 lots developed without a home on it. And those lots at that point were trading for maybe 100,000 per lot developed. As the market crashed, and some of the large institutions, some of the large national builders actually had to write their land down to zero just to try and make ends meet and put a home on it. Well, throughout the course of the last 15 years, the largest builders in this area, and this is specific, real estate is a regional thing. It's different here as it is in New York or in LA or what have you, and we're in Chicago. So as the largest builders worked through, just because they could, their margins were very small, but they're builders. That's what they do. So they worked through these single family lots, but it took them about 10 to 12 years to work through them. They then turned their sights to those were single family. They then turned their sights to the multifamily lots because that's what was left. They have now pretty much worked through all the multifamily lots, and they are literally now at the very forefront of starting to develop new lots, which gives an immediate, probably double the cost, from a $40,000 to $50,000 single family lot to probably $100,000. So we have an immediate increase. So our whole premise is to find those pockets of lots that are available that the big builders will not touch and will not drive the pricing up. We also, those lots are tough to find in huge parcels right now, so we can find them scattered and still provide the same level of service in a rental market or something that is tokenized through the blockchain. So we're seeing this scarcity model playing itself to the point where out here a home goes on the market, or we don't have any homes for rent right now. And when we start doing searches on the MLS out here, some towns don't even have a home for rent. So our whole goal is to find the product in any way we can, get it built, get it rehabbed, and fill out the rest of those super valuable lots, but are affordable. The scalability, real quick, once we get the ball rolling, we believe that the next idea would be literally to purchase raw land, plat it through the annexation systems, and then develop and add value every step of the way, and being able to tokenize that. And eventually, we're on the service industry. We believe that the tokenization of the services required to build, maintain, and service these homes from a service material standpoint, that is all, those options are absolutely on the table. We just feel that we have to get the groundworks laid, and the people that are out there that are large players, they see it, they hear about it. The groundwork, I believe, is not there in this market yet, and I hope to be a part of laying that groundwork along with hopefully other people on this call. So that's about what we have with the scarcity model.
Excellent, thank you. I'm gonna try to put on my finance hippie hat. I know he's listening, and I know I've communicated with him before. And he likes the idea of buying a house up in the mountains that he could maybe do like a like a rental, that he could maybe live in it whenever is not occupied, and maybe just generate cash flow by doing rentals, whether it's long-term rental or short-term rentals. Yeah, so I'm thinking he's there thinking, okay, how do I use this idea of tokenization to buy the house I want to buy, and make it all work for him. I'm not sure if I'm expressing clearly what I think he would be wanting to do, but let's just say that that's the situation. What would you guys suggest for somebody like him?
Yeah, that's just an income producing property. So yeah, if you don't have the money to buy a cabin of your dreams, well, maybe you just tokenize the cabin of your dreams, and then you just VRBO it or Airbnb it, and then you just go rent it from yourself, once a month or once every 2 months. And then you have, you'd have the cabin you want. Something like that. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm getting at. But then what it means is that he needs to take that role that you guys took, right? He needs to step up and say, okay, I am going to somehow finance it, or I'm gonna get a bunch of people on board to join me in this effort to tokenize it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You'd have to come up with a platform, or you'd have to find a platform like ours and bring your project to us and do it. But there is another guy in the Ravencoin community who's working on tokenizing a whole bunch of VRBOs down in Miami. And he was actually going to speak tonight, but I think he backed out at the last minute.
Wow, that is so cool. Can you share more of what that really means? By the way, we got Megan here from the Security Token Market Group. Thank you, Megan, for joining us. We'll probably make you a speaker here if you're willing to chat. But yeah, can you share more of, maybe just repeat and add a little bit more to what you just shared about this VRBO idea?
Oh, I just know that we talked about a month and a half ago. But he is, I believe he's connected with Ddg Shares. He's pretty early in the process of getting his project going. But yeah, he's looking to tokenize VRBOs in Miami.
Yeah. So VRBO would work exactly the same as any income producing rental property. You know, VRBO, Airbnb, you rent it out per night. It's more like a hotel situation. And at the end, I guess if you were managing it, you could kind of, you know, block off if you're going to manage it, and then also wanting to live there once in a while too. You could just block off
when you want to use
days,
it.
whatever. But I mean, you'd want to be kind of open and honest with that, and pay for your rental while you're there.
Yeah. All right. So another question I think Finance Hippie would be asking himself is, all right, so I own a home. Could I just tokenize it and maybe do the VRBO on the home that I already own, and generate income, and also distribute ownership to my friends and my parents and whomever else?
Yeah, absolutely. It'd work the exact same way. Now, what about your friend? What if you want to tokenize the house you live in, right?
Yeah.
So now you're tokenizing the ownership, but you're also instead of paying a bank, you're paying the other owners that are invested in the house with you. So you could tokenize the house that you live in, or you could even tokenize the debt, and instead of paying dividends, you just pay interest on the debt held by debt tokens instead of ownership tokens. It's pretty wild if you start going down that path and thinking about it. But there's just so many options with tokenization and real estate.
You're getting rid of the bank.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the whole point, right?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right.
Hey, real quick, I just want to. There's a lot of people in here that maybe weren't in here the whole time. I just wanted to let you all know that this space is being recorded, and we've actually uncovered a lot of positive and helpful information in the past 50 minutes. And this space is going to be uploaded onto Ravencoin IPFS. It'll be made available to everyone in here for free. We will be tweeting out about it later tonight and tomorrow. So that in case you do want to hear everything we've talked about, hear about both Hydra Chains and Dwell Homes projects, you can definitely do that. And it's very easy through Ravencoin IPFS as well.
Oh, thank you, Jake. Quoting or Sonny, maybe you want to share about the pinned tweets on top?
Yes, the pinned tweets on top. We have, let's see, we have one from Quothing and one from CryptoLissa. And to check out our Mango Farms asset wallet, we have some giveaways. So please check out the pinned tweets at the top. And also for anyone that came in later, I always want to remind people that my favorite feature about Ravencoin is that we have unique names. So when you name that asset, that real estate asset, it can be a human readable name as opposed to a hash that you see on other blockchains. So I think that that's a really user-friendly feature that will transmit really well to the general public.
That's one of my favorite features too, because I keep on saying that you generate or you're using that name for purposes of marketing and creating that name that is meaningful to people. And I guess maybe let me tie that to this other part is if I don't know any of you, And if I wanted to start teaming up, because I think this is a great idea, I wanted to invest in some of what you're doing, then, I have an obligation to do my due diligence as an investor, and I wanna find out, where is this home, how big is it, how many dollars per square feet are you guys building it at, and how much is it renting for, and what are the market rates, and some of that information may be a bit difficult to find for somebody like me. Um, but I'm assuming that you will eventually have a place where you share some of that data, um, and then investors can go over there and look at it, and maybe that information will be updated. But then once that's done, then I kind of get to like you guys. I'm thinking I like Hydra Chain, so now I'm gonna keep investing in Hydra Chain, and so that name becomes again your asset, your marketing, your brand, and I think that's important. But can you share about, yes, how do you tell potential investors about the specific things that are important to them from the due diligence perspective?
Yeah, so we have our website, like our marketplace is going to be ravencointokens.com, and all of that information on the property itself and the market rent and things like that are all going to be part of that offering.
Yep. Yeah. The offering on the site will show and all the information that we have available, as far as, and everything like building plans and everything like that. So, and pictures of the house and everything like that. We're very, very close. We're a lot closer to having the site up than we are to having the house done. But we do have access to the back end of the site, which is so the front end of the site is ravencointokens.com. That's that part of the site we do the design on. We have control the content on that front end site. Right now there's not really anything there right now at ravencointokens.com. But the back end of the site, which is Ddg Shares white label site for us, we've got the administrator login. We're in there right now playing around with it every day. We're learning how all the different bells and whistles on the back end of the site works, and the administrator, and creating projects on the back end and stuff like that. So we're real close to having it all up and running.
Will you guys be at the Braveland event on January 8th?
We come to all the
I think
Braveland
so,
events.
yes.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, that's also in the pinned tweet. So follow that for more information, and also that we have the best white paper in the entire blockchain space. It's an interactive white paper. You've got to look at it to really appreciate it, and we're giving those away. So follow that link too.
Thank you. So we're coming here into about an hour, and so maybe we just try to encourage people to ask questions. Again, feel free to just raise your hand or make a request here at the bottom, on the bottom left of your iPhone. If you're on a computer, you probably don't have the ability to make that request, but yeah, we'd love to take more questions from anybody. We realize that a lot of this is fairly new to many. I personally believe, and many here believe, that many assets will be tokenized, hundreds of thousands of assets. We're talking about a huge market, trillions or maybe even quadrillions of dollars will be tokenized, and those assets will be transferred peer to peer eventually.
I would just like to. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just Jaron has requested to speak, so
hey,
please go ahead.
Can
Jaron.
you hear me? All right, excellent.
Yes, go ahead.
So, I had a question about the management of the property that is being owned by the LLC that's tokenized. In the course of holding a property, you have a million to be made in terms of what is spent on, what is repaired rather than sort of replaced, et cetera, et cetera. And then obviously it kind of culminates in the time that you decide to sell the property. When a person owns a tokenized share in a property or in an LLC that has that property, to what extent do they gain power in determining how those decisions are made?
So a few questions there. As far as the sale of the property, we're planning on keeping these properties rented forever. Essentially, there's not like an exit strategy for selling the property as of now. As far as voting and stuff like that, that is all built in right into the Ravencoin chain. But the way that we have this set up is essentially Hydra Chain Technologies has a management fee of 10% of the rental income, and that will cover all technology fees. That's going to cover all the property management, all the accounting, and all that kind of stuff. And I thought there was one more question in there.
I think you covered them. I think he was talking about management fee. Decision making. So maybe if, let's just say that a big mall showed up and wanted to buy the property and they're offering you a lot of money for it. Now you need to go get information from the investors. So how would you manage something like that?
Well, it's on a marketplace. So if you got somebody that wants to come in onto the marketplace and buy each of the shares up, I think they're gonna by the time they're about 50% way through of buying the available shares, they're gonna be paying through the nose for the rest of the shares. So I don't see someone coming in and just making an offer on it. It's we'd rather run it more as just a free marketplace.
Got it. Finance CP, we see your hand. I just wanted to confirm, Jaron, can you give me 100% if that answered your question, or if not, go on.
Unfortunately, I was having some audio problems during the time, so I missed a large chunk of it, so I can't really answer it. I'm sorry about that.
Don't worry, Jaron. We have the space recorded, and I can get it to you if you want.
I appreciate that.
Okay, Finance CP, what do you have, man?
Hey guys, JC team, thank you for having me and asking some questions earlier. This might be a really stupid question. I'm very novice when it comes to crypto. If anything, I've always kind of been on the opposing side of crypto, but this whole tokenizing real estate has really caught my attention. So this has been a good spaces. My main question right now is, when you talk about our property being tokenized, does each property have its own token that's unique and has its own unique value to it? Or are all these using the same token that might fluctuate? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. So with our projects, our very first one, it's going to be that house has its own token. Now, this is our proof of concept house, and we want to do it this way. It'll be the first house tokenized on the Ravencoin blockchain and all that kind of stuff. So we wanted to set it apart a little bit. But with each project comes some technology overhead, and that becomes a little expensive. So in the future, we will be, for the next projects, we will be bundling homes together, maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 100. It's going to really depend on what the market, what we can get out of the market as far as investors and whatnot to lower those technology fees and spread it out over multiple properties.
Okay, thank you. That makes that makes a lot of sense, and it could be even a better deal for the buyer to be spread across multiple properties. So, do you expect this token to be volatile or fluctuate in value, or is it going to be relatively stable?
Well, I don't know what the market will tell me, but it should follow the value of real estate. And so on our site with each property, I believe we're required to do a price opinion on it every quarter. So every quarter that comes out, Sarah will go through and do a broker price opinion on it, say what it's worth, and then the knowledge will be, the information will be there for the investors to see what it's worth, what a token is worth to them, being that the LLC owns this property that's this much, has a bank account with this much money in it, and returns this much money per month or per year for them. So it should be fairly stable, but follow the real estate price.
And absolutely, and that could always fluctuate. So if I understand correctly, when it's tokenized, if I have one token similar to a share of stock in a company, I'll know that this token is 1% of 100 properties, and that's not going to change. Obviously, the value of the homes and all that is dictated by the market. But is that how this will work? Okay, I'm seeing
Yes.
100%.
Yes, it is.
Cool. Okay, yeah, that's really cool. Thank you.
I got to chime in on that and say that was a great question, because I get it. There's a lot of hesitancy inside of crypto as a whole, just because of the fear of the volatility and everything. And I think that this removes that factor out of it, and really just kind of inserts the value of the home and the value of your brand as a whole, not necessarily the value of the cryptocurrency. It just really validates the utility and the purpose of the cryptocurrency that underlies this,
Yeah, I'll add on to that. I think that, yes, it would be great for Ravencoin price to do well, but our tokens, our security tokens, are not reliant on the price of crypto. Businesses and companies can tokenize things on this blockchain, like real estate, and have a successful project, a profitable project, not for just themselves, but for investors that also own their security tokens, regardless of the price of the crypto.
But I also do see, though, that if you have two exact properties, one's tokenized and one's not, the property that's not tokenized just has inherently more friction, more murkiness, the entire antiquated system working against it, that I would think that someone might be willing to pay 10% more to be in the exact same property that they can get in and out of quickly. I don't know, but that's just something to consider.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that almost makes too much sense. I do love this idea, and as I said, personally, I hate Bitcoin. Anybody that follows me knows how much I hate Bitcoin, because it there's nothing tied to it. But this actually sounds very useful. I definitely got to look more into it. But this has been a great spaces.
Finance hippie, I love that you're so bold and admitting that to a crypto group here. One of these days, you and I need to go join a Bitcoin maxi group and just listen to them. But I'm kind of with you in this regard. I think the revolutionary thing about Bitcoin is not necessarily Bitcoin itself, but blockchain, the technology that really led to all of these things happening. Although I think Bitcoin has a lot of things going for it, and I maybe I disagree with you on its future, right? But I think blockchain itself, it's really the revolutionary thing about Bitcoin, and that's what Ravencoin is grabbing. Is like, hey, this blockchain thing can be used for other things. It's a ledger that makes things happen transparently, and that allows peer-to-peer transactions, right? But we're eliminating the bank. And if you think about it this way, it's like, what other third parties can we eliminate through blockchain technology? That's what this is all about. So yeah, thank you for asking those great questions. Let's see.
Excuse me, Jesse. I'd like to just jump in real quick. There's something that I feel like is important to discuss to this community of people who are really fans of decentralized things. Maybe not all of us in here, but a lot of people are. They don't like having their stuff being controlled by a centralized unit. When we had our meeting with Ddg Shares, we were discussing, what do people have to own, hold our tokens, if it was a Duel token, on their exchange or their database or whatever it is. And they do have the option for the investors to basically take the tokens off of their platform and own it in their own wallets. Now, they did heavily advise against it because you can lose those tokens, and that would definitely be a big risk that someone has to be willing to take. But you can have full ownership of your security tokens. Like, in the stock market today, you can't go on Robinhood and I'm going to go withdraw my shares into my own decentralized share wallet. Like, that just does not exist. So that option is there. We did talk about that with them because we were very curious about it. And I just wanted to let everyone know that you don't have to hold your things in a custodial type of, platform.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you. So could you maybe start with Dan and Sarah? Could you tell us more about when can we start investing in your project if that's an option already, or is that an option already?
I think we are roughly a month out from the website being up and running, ravencointokens.com.
Okay, so that's roughly maybe in a month a person could start investing in that project.
Yeah, I think so. We will be sure to let you know.
Sounds good. And if we wanted to learn more about what you're doing, you have videos showing the construction of the home and things like that. Certainly, we can all follow you and learn more. But is there a website that you or do you want to say?
Yeah, blockchainrealtor.com. So I try to keep it updated as best as I can with the progress of the home, kind of where we're at. I try to do like a monthly update. But yeah, that's where you can find updates on it.
Cool. And Jim and Jake, what timeline on when can we start investing in you guys' project, and where do we learn more about it?
So we're definitely behind Hydra Chain in the process because we just had our meeting about a month ago with Ddg Shares, and we are building a pretty sizable home right now in the area we live in. So we've been very busy. We are on path to have another meeting with Ddg Shares to demonstrate the process of putting our token on their thing. But we would like to get this project going as soon as possible. Really, a timeline would be 2022. Just because of the opportunity will not exist for this long based on lot prices, material pricing, and material volatility. So yeah, definitely in 2022, preferably early to mid 2022. Also, our website is dwellhomes.net. You spell our company name DWELL. So dwellhomes.net. The link is in my bio. And on there, you'll actually see renderings and then some pictures of the house that is currently under construction.
Excellent. And
Yeah,
obviously,
one more second. Yeah, this is Jim, real quick. So, we're hoping that, like, I wanted to mirror on Jake, and we could maybe ride some coattails here and utilize what has already been done here with Hydra Chain and try and expand on it. We're the need is now, right? So we're looking at it like, how fast can we go without doing it, incorrectly? And there was one question on about like stability and how things move and pricing and things of that nature. Our project and what we've learned is everything that we underwrite is underwritten to both standards of rent, because that is the plan, but we also do it to standards of sale. And in our mind, we need to make sure that it handles both. In this volatile market, the murkiness of it, the roughness of the waters, it's very important that those options are there. things turn on a dime in real estate, especially in residential. Commercial it has historically been a little more stable than residential. Residential is cyclical. We know it goes up. We know it goes down. So by maintaining options, we feel gives the best. I guess lowers the risk for everybody involved, and the idea of tokenizing really, I believe, calms the waters, and I can't stress that enough. And I feel that it's something I feel. So we appreciate it. We're looking to go, like I say, move quickly, and we'll be getting things out, and you guys can hopefully follow along.
Oh, I was muted. I thought I was talking. Jim and Jake, are you already seeing interest from potential investors?
We are. Actually, I don't think I haven't seen interest. Put it that way. We deal with a lot of the largest national suppliers in the stuff that we do. So they're thinking about it on the end game of what they have to do from a supplier standpoint, down to the people that are involved out in the workplace. We're trying to educate as much as possible. Some people they hear about it and they appreciate it. We talk to our concrete contractors. We talk to our carpenter contractors. We feel like in order to effectively do this in the headwinds that are there, that the more people we can get to understand how, and think about a contractor standpoint. If I can actually get my concrete person to be an investor by having tokens in a project that he is doing, or across the board in all the subs, how great would that be? And how the aligning of goals and the hopefully the workmanship then the proudness of it, it's theirs. And it just opens up so many avenues. And the hardest part is just going to be the technology, getting them to understand how to. But I think that will come. We just have to provide the platforms.
I think that the aligning of motives is just a really key to this thing. And we've seen with the NFT art movement that people really want to own. They want to own something, and there is no right click and save. And same with construction, having that skin in the game. That's just very interesting. I hadn't thought of that one, so that's a great selling feature.
Yeah, and we've run into the same thing. Our plumber and our HVAC subcontractors are kind of talking about, well, maybe we can just get paid in tokens.
I love that. That's really cool. That is amazing. It kind of reminds me of the story we talk about in the Ravencoin community about, in the future, you're going to be able to walk into a restaurant and say, oh man, I really like this restaurant. It looks pretty busy. And then you're going to pull out your iPhone or your mobile device and say, I'm going to buy 100 shares on the spot. And the owner can come over immediately and say, hey, are you the one who just bought it? And let me give you an NFT, or let me give you this, or whatever, right? And now you're part owner. Isn't that amazing? And the same thing can happen to a building. You can be walking across some street or some city and come across a building that has a QR code that allows you to buy shares on the spot. That's where we're headed here with this technology. Well, we would love to answer more questions if anybody else has questions. If not, we'll figure out here how to conclude it. Anybody else wants to ask a question? Nope. All right. Quoting, go for it.
I just wanted to say I found this space so informative. And thank you, Jake, for reporting this, because it is, this is invaluable information, and it's nearly criminal that there isn't more people in here to understand how this can operate and how this can work. So I hope that everybody, once this thing gets recorded and uploaded onto IPFS, what that is just simply going to put it to a link, rather than uploading it. Well, we will upload it to YouTube, I'm sure. But with this link, anybody and everybody can listen to it. All you got to do is just tap on it. So let's get this out there for people, because this is something that everybody needs to hear. I mean, I look forward to being able to eventually be able to I'm not an accredited investor, but being able to jump in and fund both of these projects at some point, because I really value the prospect of something like this. As somebody who's an equity investor, I would love nothing more than to be able to have some skin in the game in both of your guys' projects.
At Bay Quoting, the best part about it is I think you really would only have to be KYC'd and whitelisted. You don't have to be accredited, I think, in some cases.
Well, and if it's under a circumstance where I can, let's go. I'll toss out my social to the right people. Other than that, yeah, guys, you know, the idea of how this works and what chain that this operates on is Ravencoin, and it's so multifaceted in the different things that it can do. I don't think I've really seen too many blockchains that have the capability that this is really can hold for people. So do yourself a favor and create the Mango Farms asset wallet. I don't care if you want to buy an NFT. I don't care if you want to like go ape into some of this stuff in the way that some of us have, but you need this white paper, that one that's on the far right there by Ravencoin Assets. He's given those away for free. You need to read up on what this can do and what it's capable of, and see the brain that really thought a lot of these things through. Bruce Fenton, he's a FINRA accredited investor and a broker. He really saw a lot of these regulatory things coming from a mile away and designed this to accommodate for every single one of those, shall we call it, discriminatory or just particular ideals. And when you read the white paper, you can really see what that's really all about, and why people like myself are so, I don't even want to say bullish, just I'm so confident in this kind of a project, because there's so many different multifacets that everybody can get some kind of something out of it. Whether it's the NFTs and the stupid profile picture stuff like I've got going on, if it's you want to take part in ownership of a video game, one of my buddies is creating that, and so he's able to help fund that project by selling NFTs. To me, there's a lot of value in these things. So do yourself a favor, ask questions, be bold. I'm there for it. If you guys have any kind of questions, I know JC's there, I know Jake's there, I know Dan and Blockchain Sarah are there. So please, yeah, reach out. I'm happy to assist, and that's all I've got for us tonight, guys.
That's an excellent way to close it, Clothing. Thank you, Super Coder fan. Is there anything you want to share as well?
No, just thank you guys all for coming. We're doing a women's Twitter space every Monday at 11 a.m. with Crypto Alyssa, who's in here right now. So please keep an eye out for us. We have a lot to offer women in the space.
Thank you. And yes, we've been meeting almost daily for a while now, over a week. We're going to take a break here until through the holidays, but then we're going to come back. And the idea is to conclude a series of meetings on or about January 11th or 12th. And the reason for that is because that is when Ravencoin hits its halving day. That's when the block rewards on the blockchain go from 5,000 to 2,500. And typically what that means is that cryptos that go through this cycle a lot of times appreciate. We can't, no one can guarantee that that's going to be the case, but that's one of the reasons why we decided to hold a lot of these space meetings, to share information about Ravencoin and hopefully bring awareness to what is about to happen here with the crypto. But I think most of us are most fascinated with the utility, the tokenization, not necessarily the speculation with the price. So anyhow, well, thank you everybody. You have a good night and happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas.
Thank you for having us, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
I'll be getting this out onto IPFS like as soon as possible tonight, and I'll be giving it to everyone to distribute.
Awesome. Thank you, Jake. Bye, everybody.
Tokenize the world, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.